Analogue. Who is Analogue, Will?
Analogue is a company. They make, I guess you can call it boutique, modern style retro consoles powered by FPGA. So they're hardware-based emulation, not software-based emulation. That's a more accurate, more reliable form of emulation. They did, most recently, the Mega SG, the best Sega Genesis money can buy. They also did the Super NT, a Super Nintendo version, and an NT Mini, which is a Nintendo NES version.
So they make really high-end
clone consoles.
Consoles of retro video game hardware. They just announced their next one, and it is a Game Boy.
Yes.
They're calling it the Analogue Pocket. And it's not just a Game Boy. I'm just going to read what it says.
Yeah, read what it says.
I'm on their website.
Okay.
A multi-video game system portable handheld, a digital audio workstation.
We'll get into that.
With a built-in synthesizer and sequencer. A tribute to portable gaming. Out of the box, Pocket is compatible with the 2,780 plus Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advanced game cartridge library. So the physical cartridges.
Yes.
When I first heard that, I saw this through their tweets.
Yeah.
It was the first thing I saw when I woke up at 12. When I saw compatible with 2,780 plus Game Boy and Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance games, that scared me because I thought, why not just say all?
Yeah.
You know? Because that sounds like they're trying to like cop out. But this says compatible with the 2,780. So it sounds more like it's everything.
Yeah. I think they just wanted to use the number to give you a rough idea of exactly how many types of games you can play on this.
Or they want to leave some wiggle room.
Or that. Yeah.
So
well, we'll keep going.
Yeah. Pocket works with the cartridge adapters for other handheld systems too, like Game Gear, Neo Geo, Pocket Color, Atari Lynx, and more. They put a period where there should not be a period.
There should be commas.
Completely engineered in 2 FPGAs. No emulation. You see that in nice white.
Because they want to specifically say, because like most clone consoles, pretty much all clone consoles out there run on software emulation, which is glitchy and laggy and unreliable. This is 100% hardware based. It's built from the ground up to replicate the system is trying to replicate perfectly.
The only other thing that I've seen that's similar to this is the Hyperkin one that they were supposed to be making a long time ago that they never made.
Yeah. But I'm pretty sure that would have been software.
That would have been software, yeah. It would have been $100 was the price point they were going for. So this is going to be $200. So this is expensive as hell. But
much like all their other systems.
Their other systems are also around $200. This sounds like it could do more than a lot of those other systems.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that too. But yeah, the Hyperkin one would have probably been software emulation, even though it takes the physical cartridges, but it rips the cartridge ROM and holds it in its RAM.
Yeah.
So this is running off of the cartridge. This is an actual game. It's probably FPGA. The FPGA chip is probably cloning a Game Boy Advance.
Probably.
Yeah, because they want to go for the highest, shoot for the moon.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Monster Pocket. Your pocket just got bigger. All right, dude.
Yeah.
All right, buddy.
It sure did from seeing all this news.
Pocket is designed around a first-class 3.5-inch 615 ppi LCD. That is way more PPs than we ever need for a freaking Game Boy.
Yeah, well, keep reading.
With us, this is ridiculous. With a 1600 by 1440 resolution. So that's 1600 by 1440 resolution. Which one's the second one is horizontal, right?
Yeah. No, the second one is vertical.
The second one's vertical.
Yeah.
So this is 1440p basically. But square. This is 1440p but cropped.
Yeah.
Inward. That is too much.
That is
nobody needs that.
That's a better screen than the Switch.
It's more pixel dense.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So the Switch has a 720p screen.
Yeah.
And this has a 1440p screen squared. So cropped in a little bit.
Yeah.
But even though it's cropped, this still has more pixels than a Switch, probably.
The Pocket has 10 times the resolution of an original Game Boy.
That's it? I'm surprised that it's only 10.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it is. It's exactly 10.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense.
Still, 10 times the resolution of an original Game
No,
Boy.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it because it's exactly 10 times.
According to the website, yeah, we can hardly believe it either. Pro level color accuracy, dynamic range, and brightness. There has never been a display this advanced in a video game system.
Wow.
Polygon interviewed Christopher Tabor, the founder of Analogue, and he said, one of the biggest hurdles of making a portable was that we always wanted to make the display. Most inexpensive portables coming from China use cheap widescreen displays that rely on black bars to force the original aspect ratio to the hardware, and the screens are chosen to be adequate but not exceptional. That is why it took Analogue so long to finally release its own portable. We essentially were waiting for the right display, working with suppliers and trying to get something that we really wanted, and we finally were able to do that. It is an extraordinary special display with all things considered for respective application. It's 10 times the resolution of the original Game Boy. It's 3.5 inches. It's 615 ppi. It's an LTSP LCD, which is very, very nice and is the correct aspect ratio. I just can't even believe that we were able to get displays with the correct aspect ratio with this size that has all of these features in it.
I honestly can't believe it either. Because
Yeah.
So there's other systems like the BitBoy that are much cheaper. And a lot of they're all like cheap Chinese stuff. Mm-hmm. And they're made pretty well.
They're made well enough.
They're all software emulation, and they're all you just load ROMs into it.
Yeah.
A lot of them, almost all of them, have screens that are the wrong aspect ratio.
Oh yeah.
Or they're all the wrong aspect ratio, but some of them will crop in to the right aspect ratio. So you just have this unused part of the screen in these consoles because it's just cheaper to get those types of screens. This is the exact 10 times the resolution.
Yeah.
So I looked it up because I learned about all this when I was doing that, when I was screwing around with the Game Boy camera.
Yeah.
So the resolution of an original Game Boy is 160 by 144.
Mm-hmm.
So this is exactly 10 times that.
Right.
The Game Boy camera is 128 by 128 because it crops in a little bit.
Right.
So this will multiply that by 10 also, which is crazy. I mean, you'll still see square pixels, but it'll look crisp as hell.
Yeah.
Game Boy Advance.
I was going to bring up the Game Boy Advance.
It's 240 by 160. It is a little wider.
Yeah, it's wider.
It's a 3x2 aspect
So for
ratio.
the Pocket, it will unfortunately have to be letterboxed in order to show. But still, if it's gonna be 10 times the resolution, it's still gonna look so much better than it did on an original Game Boy or clones for that matter.
So this won't be 10 times.
Right.
This will probably be like 9.
Still,
somebody else could do the math. It's 240 by 160 cropped in, and you would crop so that would be the 160 would be cropped down, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it would have to be letterbox. So there'd be black bars on the top and bottom.
Right.
So it'll still look amazing and look better than any other handheld.
Right. Yeah. So the fact that they put a lot into the screen. Also, the other consoles like the BitBoy, almost all of the consoles that I've used, these like cheap Chinese consoles, they have really bad screen tearing.
Yeah.
When there's any sort of movement on screen, you will see like it'll get like jagged and weird.
Yeah.
So if you're playing a fast-paced game, you'll get a lot of weird screen tearing. It happens with the BitBoy. It happens with the Pocket Go, unfortunately. So if they're putting this much effort into the screen, I really hope there's no screen tearing. I assume there's not going to be any screen tearing because of how much effort they're putting into the screen.
I mean, how much effort they put into everything they do.
Yeah. So that's a big concern of mine because the BitBoy has a really nice screen. It's got a really nice IPS screen that is also a pretty good resolution, and the colors are beautiful. But it's got really bad screen tearing. So it's possible this could happen here. But it sounds like they know what they're doing. Yeah. And that might have a lot to do with the emulation too. Yeah. And this is not emulation at all. Yeah. So
the next thing it shows, it's a tribute to portable gaming, and it shows all the different systems it'll be compatible with. Of course, Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance. But with the use of adapters, Atari Lynx, Game Gear, Neo Geo Pocket Color.
Game Gear is crazy.
So two things,
That's crazy.
real quick.
Yes.
They said they were supposed to release adapters for the Mega SG for like all the other Sega systems, like the Game Gear and something else, but they never did. And they're supposed to come out this year.
I think they did eventually.
I don't see them on the website.
I'll look it up.
But when they do come out, and these will be the same, they're going to be inexpensive. They're going to be like $10, $15.
So they're not coming out at launch.
No, they'll come out later. But I mean, for $10, $15, you can play pretty much every classic retro portable in 2019.
So,
and that's great because Game Gear screens always break. Atari Lynx screens always break.
oh, they made this is what I'm thinking of. They made that
The DAC,
the DAC,
digital to analog converter.
So Game Gears are known for having the screen crap out, and it's a transistor.
Yeah,
it's not actually the screen, which is sounds like too much.
Yeah.
Retro Future, great YouTube channel, offered to fix ours just before we started.
Also, remember at Long Island Retro Gaming when I was going to buy Sonic on Neo Geo and you told me not to because we don't have a Neo Geo?
I feel like I wouldn't do that. I buy a lot of dumb things that we don't have.
Well, you did, and now I have a chance to play it.
I just learned I feel a little slighted. I feel like nobody ever told me about Sonic Labyrinth.
How do you not know about Sonic Labyrinth?
It's just Chip's Challenge, but Sonic.
It is not Chip's Challenge.
Yeah, it is.
How is it anything like Chip's Challenge?
You're in a 3D space and you need to find a key in every level.
First of all, Sonic Labyrinth is isometric.
Yes.
Chip's Challenge is top down.
Oh, excuse me. It's like that. It's a 45-degree angle.
Second of all, Sonic Labyrinth is just so like it feels like he's moving through syrup. Like it's just so slow.
But the core idea is Chip's Challenge, but Sonic.
Okay, have you played it?
No, I just saw it. I was looking up. I don't know why I was looking up.
I don't think it's going to be as good as you think it is.
But I love Chip's Challenge.
I know. But just because Sonic's in it doesn't mean.
Anyway, because we have every Sonic game for the Genesis. Yeah. We don't have every Sonic game for the Game Gear.
We just got Triple Trouble for the Game Gear.
Yeah.
The problem is
that's what started me down the Wikipedia rabbit hole. Triple Trouble.
Yeah.
Because somebody posted on Twitter a timeline of all of the Sonic games, and it was a meme.
Yeah.
But then I was like, they wrote Triple Trouble as if Sonic met Knuckles somewhere else. It was like an alternate timeline.
Yeah.
And I was like, Knuckles is in that game? So then I went on a whole friggin' thing. He's Princess Peach of the game.
Basically.
Anyway, my question about this thing being able to play Game Gear games.
Yeah.
If it's running off of an FPGA chip, that is, I'm assuming the FPGA chip is modeled after a Game Boy Advance.
Correct.
How is it going to be able to play Game Gear and Neo Geo games?
Well,
is it emulating that through a Game Boy Advanced hardware?
Well, you got to think of it like Game Boy Advance is more advanced than all those other systems were.
Right.
So it theoretically should have enough horsepower to run those games. I'm guessing that in addition to, the Game Boy firmware, they also worked in code for the other systems, and then when you buy the adapter, it's the rest of that code. Does that make sense?
So you're saying it's software? No,
there's got to be like a line of code in the FPGA chip because you program that. It's field programmable something array.
FPGA, field programmable gaming array.
Yeah,
no, that's not it.
So like they have to like program that chip somehow. So they probably programmed a few lines of Game Gear code in there, let's say. And then when you buy the adapter, that's the rest of the code so that the system knows to go into Game Gear
gate
mode.
Array, field programmable gate array.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
That can be programmed in the field after manufacture. FPGAs are similar in principle to but have vastly wider potential application than programmable read-only memory. That makes sense, but then then it wouldn't need another FPGA chip in the adapter because that'd be really expensive.
Right.
Or it could just be emulating, but then they would have to leave a little note. They'd have to have a little asterisk and say like Game Gear and Lynx are not FPGA or are software emulation.
Well, I don't think it would be software emulation. It has to be
Well, it'd be running off of Game Boy
Maybe it's not an FPGA.
hardware.
Maybe it's just, the right amount of chips and transistors that, a Game Gear would need.
Random 11 says the FPGA chips have to already be programmed, and the adapters just would be simple pin splitting.
Could be that, because the Mega SG came with a Master System adapter. And the Master System adapter is clear, so you can see all the chips and stuff in it. So it has to have some amount of chips in it that probably replicates some aspect of the Master System, where everything else is being handled on the Mega SG itself.
But isn't that similar hardware, Master System to Genesis?
Similar, yeah.
Because there's no adapter like that for the Genesis, right?
There's a power-based converter.
Oh, well, then that's it.
Yeah.
Then that's just what that adapter is. It's a power-based converter. But when you go Game Gear to freaking Game Boy Advance, that's a big difference. You know what I mean?
But again, the Game Gear, is a less powerful system than the Game Boy Advance. So the Game Boy Advance should have enough horsepower to run Game Gear games.
I'm not saying there's going to be a problem.
Right.
I'm just saying that it might not be hardware emulation anymore. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
The hardware emulation is going to be from a Game Boy Advance, so there's going to be some disparity. Like if you have freaking Virtual Racer Game Gear, which isn't a game, you might have a problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If there's a game that can't be emulated from the Game Gear, then you might have a problem. Not that there is one, though. I don't think there's anything in the Game Gear library that has a piece of hardware on the chip that needs it for emulation.
Yeah. We have his email.
Retro Tam Games. Yeah, that's a question I will ask him. They can program the FPGA to be any system. You can use a Mega SG with modified cores to make it play Nintendo ROMs even. Yeah, but then the FPGA... Well, okay. We're going to get... There's more to this.
Yeah.
But there would need to be multiple FPGA chips.
Well, Cyberquake says you can program multiple systems into one FPGA, which is kind of like what I was saying before.
That is possible.
Yeah.
That would solve everything.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a lot of work. It'd be a lot of work just to be able to say it's hardware emulation.
Well, I mean, these are people who put way too much work into getting this stuff going.
Because this is an adapter you need to buy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So 90% of the people who buy this thing are not going to be plugging Game Gear games into it.
Yeah. I mean, we will.
We will. We definitely will. Unless it has to come out at launch. I'm only making one video for this thing.
They said the adapters aren't coming out at launch.
Oh, that sucks.
But
Analogue isn't just for games anymore. It's for making music. Pocket has a digital audio workstation built in. Sorry, I'm scrolling while I'm reading.
Pocket has a digital audio workstation built in called Nanoloop. It's a synthesizer and a sequencer. Designed for music creation and live performance. Shape, stretch, and morph sounds. Capture music or play and sculpt live.
Yeah, I'm gonna play. That's coming from a Game Boy.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, why are they spending so much time on the music part?
So the chiptune scene. This is a very big music scene. The majority of them use Game Boys to create their music. And they typically use a program called Little Sound DJ or LSDJ. And it's basically a program that you load onto an EverDrive and you load it into a Game Boy. And you can make beats and sounds with it. And people will actually just hook up their Game Boys to sound systems and rock out in clubs.
Yeah, they have whole shows where people are just playing on
There's
Game
a really good documentary from 10 years ago called Reformat the Planet that's all about the chiptune scene and people making music on their Game Boys and stuff.
So, yeah, it's a very big deal.
Yeah.
To be able to have such a music centric part of it.
Yeah, and it's gonna be built into it. So day one, you can just go out and become the next.
So it has that synthesizer built into it.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what they did to the sound output, because it's just a headphone jack.
Well, no, it has speakers in it.
Yeah, it has speakers in it, but I mean the audio output
right
is just a headphone jack.
Right.
But I was thinking you can't really get much higher quality than that. What else are you going to do? Have a guitar input, which is the same as a headphone jack.
Well, I mean, you can put a digital input.
That's what I was thinking.
But
that Well, it's got to have a USB charger or something.
It has it's USB-C.
So I bet people are going to mod it immediately to have a digital output, so you can plug this thing into a laptop.
Yeah.
It probably wouldn't be hard at all to plug this into a laptop.
No.
And have the laptop run the audio.
It has an SD card slot for firmware updates, so you can even do it that way.
Yeah. So for higher quality audio, people might be plugging this thing into a laptop if they could even do that. But I think a headphone jack would be just fine.
Yeah, I mean, people, like I said, people use their regular Game Boys.
Yeah, it is just a Game Boy. After all, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. It's not a freaking synthesizer.
But it is really cool.
But it is a
synthesizer.
synthesizer.
I mean, I'm gonna futz around with it.
Now you can help preserve video game history too. Pocket is designed for FPGA development. We added a second dedicated FPGA, which is what I was going to say before, and the chat got ahead of me just now. We added a second dedicated FPGA just for developers to develop and port their own cores. With access to Analogue's proprietary hardware and scalers, we think developers are going to do some amazing things. So I didn't mention this when we were talking about getting Game Gears running on this thing, because the second FPGA is specifically for developers to putz around with. It's not going to have Game Gear or links or anything on that.
But if you have the know-how, then you can program it to run Genesis, Super Nintendo, PS1.
You know, I didn't think about that, but that's why that's there.
Yeah.
That's there so that you could open this thing up to be your all-in-one portable gaming device.
It could also be there for like homebrew games and things like that, absolutely. But
if this was Polymega, they'd be like, oh, that second FPGA is for like, we want to have our own sort of a game library, like our own sort of Steam for this thing, so we can have modern games on it. No, they know that people are going to use this second FPGA to use this thing like a portable ROM center.
Well, it's like how you can't play ROMs on a Mega SG, but they said that they're not going to stop people from jailbreaking it.
Right.
It's basically that.
Right. Yeah. And the Mega SG was jailbroken in day one.
Yeah.
So yeah, that, I mean, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. But yeah, I'm going to freaking load this bad boy up with stuff. Because the way the Mega SG was opened up was so, it just adds another menu item on the menu. It's so clean. You don't need an extra launcher or anything. It just adds a menu item that says ROMs, and that's it. It's so easy. So I'd assume people will break this day one, right? ROMs or cores.
Yeah.
And you can load up Genesis or whatever. Now, of course, that's not official. That's just us speculating.
Yes.
There's no better way to explore all of handheld gaming history with Analogue Pocket. One more thing. Oh, and I like the way they did one.
Yeah.
Like they did a very Apple of them.
Yeah.
Introducing Analogue Dock. That's what I call mine too, Will. For when you put it down.
That's
never,
what I like
never
to do.
put it down. Play your Pocket on the big screen. Put your Pocket into dock. Oh my God, this is just full of it. Put your Pocket into dock, and it outputs directly to your HD TV. Sync up any wireless 8-bit Bluetooth controller directly to dock. They call it just dock.
It's just dock.
For wireless play. You can also connect controllers directly via wired USB 2. So it has its own switch dock.
Yes. That's probably the most incredible thing. That they're, the fact that it's, a new Game Boy is one thing, but they're taking the extra step and letting you have a way to play this on television.
Is the dock launching with it?
The dock is coming at a later date, and the price is to be determined.
Ooh. Yeah, that's probably going to be hefty.
Well, did he say anything about it?
It's USB-C, this thing.
He said it will be priced... It will be a price people will be happy with. It's not going to be a very expensive accessory.
Good.
Because what's the
Switch dock was $90 when it came out.
I don't think it's going to be that much.
No, I would guess 50.
Yeah.
50 sounds reasonable. Maybe 60.
Yeah.
It being USB-C is great.
Yeah.
Because then you can charge it along with your Switch stuff. But with my laptop stuff. That's awesome. I like a lot about this, Will.
Yeah. Comes in two colors, black and white. It ships in 2020 for $199. Sign up early to hear the Instant Pocket is available. Limited quantities will be available.
So it just says 2020.
Yeah.
All right, so it's gonna be a while.
It's going to be a while, yeah. But I think it'll be worth the wait.
I'd be much happier bringing this thing around with me than my Game Boy Light.
Absolutely, yeah.
I take Game Boy camera pictures, and I would much rather be taking them on this thing. Because even, like, I got the Game Boy Light because I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
But also, I like original hardware, and I wanted a backlight.
Yeah.
It's still impossible to see that screen. It doesn't make things any easier.
Yeah.
When you're trying to take a Game Boy camera picture, in any setting, really, there's no perfect setting to see the screen.
Yeah.
It's like impossible to see anything. So this will make things way easier for me.
Yeah.
And I got that nice, crisp 10 times resolution.
Yeah. So just the rundown of the specs. It's compatible with Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games right out the gate. Specifically the cartridges. 3.5-inch LTPS LCD screen. 1600 by 1440 resolution. 615 pixels per inch. Rechargeable lithium-ion battery. All buttons mappable. It's got 4 face buttons, a D-pad, and an L and R triggers on the back.
Ooh, I didn't notice the L and R triggers.
You got to look closely because it's right by where the cartridge is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's got an L and R buttons.
That's important for Game Boy Advance.
Yep. All buttons mappable. Stereo speakers. Micro SD card slot. USB-C charging. 3.5 millimeter headphone output. Original style link plug. So if you have your link cable, you can plug. You can
an original link cable.
Yeah,
that's a fat cable.
Yeah, and I think the Game Boy Pocket through the Game Boy Advance had a smaller cable.
I almost threw up. We could play Mario Deluxe, Will.
We could.
We have so many copies that I accidentally bought.
And rechargeable battery.
That's not the link cable. I can't find the link cable.
You don't. I can't. You don't see like the ports on it from like any of the pictures.
No, just the headphone jack. That's the headphone jack. I was looking for the L and R. Oh, they're really tiny. They're really tiny things.
And then the dock tech specs: HDMI output, 2 USB inputs for wired controllers, Bluetooth for wireless controllers, and it is compatible with the DAC.
What is the DAC?
The digital to analog converter.
Oh, their DAC. Yes.